भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ।
Dear friends, welcome back to the study of the Mundaka Upanishad, and we are now almost on the concluding section of the study. We have been paying attention to the 5th shloka of the first chapter of the 3rd Mundaka. Sequentially, it is shloka number 49, and according to the chapter, it is the 5th shloka of this chapter. The first 4 shlokas, the verses, we have paid a lot of attention. The first 2 shlokas were the example of 2 birds of same plumage, of same color and etc., living in the same forest. One is in same tree, one in the same tree, picking at fruits of different states of maturity. And he is reacting to the taste that he experiences. Bitter, absolutely astringent, sour, ultimately sweet and luscious. And he makes faces accordingly. Making faces means he reacts accordingly. A human being living in this world interacts with the world, that is exemplified by pecking, and after pecking reacts according to the taste, according to the likes and dislikes which propelled me to do the pecking. And I am a victim of various reactions. That is a condition of one bird who lives in this body. The tree is this body. There's another one who sits right up the topmost branch, enjoying the breeze and swinging in that breeze, and looking around the whole world and enjoys being unattached, uninvolved, like a witness and an observer. And he enjoys the panorama of this world. He also resides in this body. Somehow or other, we have lost that understanding, and we are totally involved or totally identified with that bird which is living in this world and pecking at various objects. That is how it starts. And then he says, the purpose of life is you rise up from the level where you are, your level of awareness, your level of interaction, your level of experiencing. You raise your level up and go up to that level. That is the teaching of the first 2 shlokas. Now, what is that level? How do we reach that level? You keep on eulogizing, you keep on praising, admiring, oh, that is an achievement, this and this. when will you tell me how to reach that level? So the third shloka teaches you how to reach that level. Jada pashyate rukma varnam aditya varnam purusham brahmajonim tada vidyan punna pape vimuktaha paramam niranjanam paramam shamyam upaiti. When you reach that stage, what happens? You see that excellent, indescribable golden lustre within you. The lustre, the magnificence, the majesty of your own being, your true original nature. When the experiencer experiences that true original nature of his, he is washed out of all dirt and all scum and all attachment. He is absolutely unattached, uninvolved, pure. He is beyond the bond of vice and virtue. He is in a divine tranquility, divine serenity, divine ecstatic joy. This is the description of the state. Of that state, there are many who reaches that state. Having reached that state, if their body is capable of absorbing this traumatic experience and still lives because of his prarabdha, then of those knowers of self, who is the best from the worldly point of view at that time? He has achieved the end result of his pursuit. After achieving, because of will of God, he is able to absorb the trauma of that experience. Otherwise, the body is unable to, the body-mind container is unable to contain that force of experience, the trauma of experience, and that this body falls off like a dry leaf of a tree. But if God has some plan, he says, he makes sure that such a person lives for a while to complete the prarabdha, which is the cause of achieving this body. And he lives an exemplary life for an ordinary man to understand. Oh, this is what the excellence that happens to the behavior pattern of a realized soul. He sees himself everywhere. He identifies himself everywhere. He identifies himself with the source of this cosmic energy which is at play in this Mayic world, the world of Maya. Having living in the world of Maya, he is full of Shuddha Sattvic Bhagavati Guna. That is, his behavior pattern is the highest level of moral and ethics which comes out from his experience. What is that highest level of moral and ethics? Prano hi esha sarvabhutar vivati. He sees that cosmic energy is the life force in this cosmos which is in me. And I am totally absorbed in it. Because of that oneness, he has no concept of separateness. Therefore, he is one with everybody. While behaving in the world, we people, we are always trying to score something above the other. Better than thou, holier than thou. That is based on the concept of separateness. Whereas he sees himself everywhere, so he is in love with everybody. There's no tension anywhere which is caused by separateness, and he has totally uprooted that separateness from his concept. Prano hi esha sarvabhuter vibhati vijanan. Experiencing that, bhavate natibadi, he does not overspeak on the others, outspeak over the others. He is one with everybody. Not only that, that is, he is modest, he is humble, he is one with all. And the best example that you can find in the list of avatars in the world, you will find it in Sri Ramakrishna, who lived like an ordinary man and always with his folded hands and head hung low, he paid respect to each and every soul. I've told you this incident, let me repeat again. After his passing away, his children, the 16 disciples, they were all orphaned and they didn't know what to do. Girish Ghosh, one of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, and householder, mind you, but he was, by Sri Ramakrishna's grace, a realized soul. He used to come and cheer these young boys up, because he was quite of some age at that time, and these were in their teens. So one day he asked them, "Come, here's a question for you. Try to answer me correctly. Ramachandra had his bow and arrow, with which he ruled the whole world and removed the evil in the form of Ravana by killing him with his bow and arrow. Bow and arrow was his weapon to win over the whole world and re-establish the law of propriety in the world. A. The chakra of Krishna, Sudarshana chakra, that's the name, that wheel, which he held on his index finger and used to spread it out like that, with an order, go, destroy him. And he used to do that and come back to his fingertip again. That was his weapon with which he killed and destroyed evil. That is, humans representing the evil. That was the weapon of Krishna. You say Ramakrishna is Avatara, is an incarnation of God. What is his weapon? How does he win over the world? So all of them scratching their head. Really? He's a normal, human, humble being. He was only interested in interacting with the divine mother of his, and his whole life was spent in helping others. What was his weapon? He had no weapon. Girish Ghosh said, I will tell you what is a weapon. This was his weapon. He was respectful to all and every under the sun because he saw the divine everywhere. He was respectful and he was humble. His head was always hanging low. That was his weapon, and with that weapon he wins the world. No Ativadi. He doesn't want to show off holier than thou, better than thou. Even by his behavior pattern, you could not understand. People used to make mistakes. There were occasions when he was talking to be a servant. Hey, come and do that for me. Yes, sir, yes. And it was a menial work he did for them and lifted. This was Sri Ramakrishna's behavior pattern. Na Atibadi. This is a quote from the scriptures. And then Atma Krira Atma Rati Kriyaban. 3 words. Atma Krida. He plays with Atman. What is play? When you need external implements and tools and tackles to play with. Rugby, cricket, football, hockey, water polo, golf. These are all games. You need external help. What was his game? He used to play with God in this various manifestation of the world. Atma Kriya, the soul, the spirit of the universe, that spirit was his toy, which he played with the whole world. And Atma Rati, sitting alone, you ruminate. Think of that all-pervading self. You are enjoying the awareness or presence of the divine through this body-mind consciousness. That is Rati. And Kriyaban, active. How was he active? By helping, by inspiring, by guiding, by teaching, by setting an example himself. The gospel is his words of advice, written in his lifetime, in his presence. Occasionally he got it corrected. We have it in the history. M. Mahendranath Gupta, he is the author of the gospel. He says, he comes and says, have you understood it properly? Have you written it down properly? So that there is no chance of mistake or misjudgment. Whereas we know the Bible is 300 years later compiled 300 years later, so is the Quran. I have no idea about the 10 Commandments and all that. But here it was written in his lifetime. Atma Krida, Atma Rati, Kriyaban. Esha Brahma Vidam Barishtaha. Of all, because of this post-realization qualities or post-realization behavior pattern, he is said to be the best specimen about realized soul. Amongst the realized soul, He is the best specimen amongst the realized souls. This is what he says. I am inspired, we are inspired, we are enlightened, we know what is what, but what about helping us to reach that state? If not Brahmavid Varishta, we can be Brahmavits. At least we can reach that goal. I may not reach that excellence, but let me reach that goal. How do I? So he goes next step. Sahakari sadhanani. Ancillary sadhanas. Sadhanas means self-imposed corrective disciplines. What are the self-imposed corrective disciplines? The Guru has told you, this is the way you will meditate. That is direct sadhana. Indriya mana ekagrata. Chittasya ekagrata. The mind stuff is pinpointed to an object. Uparati, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. Guru have taught you the basic lessons, but that is only for meditative purposes. What about the time when I am not meditating? I should not behave like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. There should be an integrated effort in my life. So ancillary disciplines are required to support you to achieve Indriya Mana Ekagrata or Chittasya Ekagrata, one-pointed concentration. That capacity will come to you with the help of these ancillary tapasyas. See how methodical, how commonsensical, how rational it is being put in. So what are those? 4 of them. Satya. Let us read the shloka and you will know how systematically he explains to you. Satyena labhya tapasa hi esha atma. Esha atma satyena labhya. Truthfulness is one of the fundamental ancillary disciplines to help you to reach the oneness, one-pointed, penetrative attitude of your mind. Satya, truth. I'll come to it later on. Let us count the 4 that he mentions. Satyena labhya. It is attainable by being truthful from all points of view. Tapasa esha labhya. It is achievable, attainable, doable, achievable. What? Tapasya. What is tapasya? Control of the outward journey of your sense organs. Let me repeat again. Control of the outward journey of your sense organs. Control. What does that mean? A question mark? Wait for the answer. Satyena labhya, tapasa labhya, samyak jnanena labhya. What is samyak jnana? A correct understanding of issues involved. Rock solid, crystal clear, intellectual conviction. This is the goal of my life. And no moving out of this attention. Samyak jnanena esha labhya. It is achievable, attainable, doable by this samyak jnana. And brahmacharjena nityam. The word nityam is to be aligned with all the 4. Now, what is brahmacharya? Brahmacharya is the management of the energy that this body produces. And that energy is dissipated by enjoyment of the joys of the world. You deprive yourself of that because you have to enjoy something greater, something permanent, something everlasting. Therefore, be careful. Don't dissipate your energy that the body produces. You will need the last drop of it over and above God's blessings. Without that, you don't achieve. Esha labhya and nityam. Nityam means without any break, without any hindrance, without any interruption, without any disturbance of constant flow. Nityam. That is Nityam Satyam, Nityam Tapasya, Nityam Samyak Jnana, Nityam Brahmacharya. He doesn't mince matters. Maharishi Angirasa does not mince matters, does not beat about the bush. Apart from what your Guru has told you as the essence of meditative practice, these four are ancillaries, supporting. Without these, you will not be able to do that. And they have to be not a part-time hobby, they have to be a whole-time job. Satyena labhya tapasa hi esha atma samyak jnanena brahmacharyena nityam. Nityam word goes all with it. A lamp in a hole of this wall, that lamp will illuminate this, that lamp will illuminate the car park. This nityam is illuminating all the four disciplines. Good enough. You have told me so. Samyak jnanena brahmacharyena nityam. What happens? Anta sharire jyotirmayo hi shubhra. Anta sharire. Don't look up in the skies. Don't look up in the clouds. Don't look at the top of the Himalayas or in the depth of the ocean. It is hidden within you. What you say, I am, you have not known what that amness is. You are under a grave misconception, misunderstanding, a mistake. Antasharire jyotirmaya shubhra. It is effulgence. What is effulgence? There is no darkness. You have known it totally, fully, integratedly. Antasharire hi jyotirmaya shubhra. Shubhra means whitest of the white. Burning white. No other colors left. Antasharire jyotirmaya shubhra jam pashyanti yataya shira dosha. Whom a sannyasi who has slowly and slowly rubbed off the dirty mirror of his mind and he has cleaned it, and the full reflection of his true original nature is on his face. He experiences, I am that. Satchidananda Swarupaha. That is what I am. I am that which is eternally existing with its awareness and joy. That is my true original nature, and following these ancillary disciplines, strengthening my meditative practices, I do it without break, without hindrance, without interruption, wholeheartedly and totally, I become slowly and slowly pure and white and effulgent, and my true original nature blushes forth. And I know who I am. Jyotiraham. Viraja Nishwara Jyotiraham. Viraja Vipapa Jyotiraham. I am without any taint. I am without any sin. Without any sin. I am as pure as a flame. And that is what my true original nature is. That is how the jatis, that is sannyasis, see themselves. Now dear, there's a little self-defense that I have to follow here. He says yatihi. Yati means sannyasi. Sannyasi means an ordained sannyasi. This Upanishad, though it started from inquiring, is there anything knowing which nothing else remains to be known by a grihastha who is Mahashala, that is, who has attained, accomplished, enlightened person. He has attained all the world can afford. Even then the question remains, and he becomes a yati, brahmacharya, garastha, banaprastha, sannyasa. But it is said, because of your prarabdha, without going through all these phases, jad ahareva virajet, tat ahareva prabrajet. The very moment of your life you feel like it and you are inspired, don't lose that opportunity. Act upon it. So this Mundaka Upanishad is meant for the sannyasis who have ordained themselves. That is why he has used the word jati. But Brahma Jnana, Brahma Vidya, or Brahmavit, one who has acquired it and achieved it, is not only contained in ordained sannyasis. He who has followed the rules of the game, he who has done his very best, he can also or she can also be a Brahmavit or a Brahmavadini. In the Upanishadic ages, apart from so many names of the saints and seers, the authors of the Upanishads, there are so many. But we can find today in the whole of the Vedic literature, including the Upanishads, 18 names of women who were Brahmavadinis at par with the men folk. They sat across to discuss what is Brahmavidya. So, though here it is being said yati, and it means actually the ordained sannyasis, but it does not preclude, does not exclude those who have followed these dictums in their lives and they have followed Satyanishta, Samyagyana, Brahmacharya, Tapasya. They can also attain that goal. Now, Satya, truthfulness, has been praised sky high. Why? What is truthfulness? What its origin? And why it is so important? The next shloka, the 6th shloka, tells you that. That is, Satyameva jayate na anritam. Satyena pantha vitato deva janaha. Jena akramanti rishayo jnana tripta jatra tat satyasya paramam nidhanam. Now, let us try and just understand by a robust common sense. You cannot take for granted your common sense. It is most uncommon in human, though it is said common sense. Never forget that gut feeling, that common sense has to be very robust to study scriptures. What is Satyam? The plain and simple definition is Jatha Jatha Kathanam. Jathartha Badanam. Jatha Jatha Kathanam. As it literally happens. Don't add spice and salt. While interacting in the world, you have to speak. Now be very attentive. What happens to us? While we speak, unknown to ourselves, we embellish with some words. And those words of embellishment is a reflection of my ego. Please, after this description, analyze yourself. You have seen something and you want to describe to somebody else. While describing, you will find, unknown to yourself, you are using certain additional words to embellish it, a little spice and a salt to make it attractive, and it is nothing else but expression of your ego. What do you think of it? What do you feel of it? And you say that in that description. But the description is being distorted by your opinion, not the fact. What happens is, in Satya Kathanam, Jatha Jathartha Badanam, Jatha Jatha Uktam. What does it say? It says, be very precise and be watchful. Don't embellish it with your words of opinion, and those opinions are nothing else but beating your own drums, egoistic. And to de-ego yourself is your goal of life. That is why Sri Ramakrishna used to say, in this Kali Yuga, to be truthful is a tapasya, and it comes from here. Therefore, he says here, Satyam eva jayate. If you want to win, if you want to be victorious, if you want to reach your goal, be absolutely truthful. Don't go in for embellishment or putting your opinion as spice and salt to that sentence. Because the rishis, they have followed this path of truth and they have gone through the path of Devajana, the Uttarayana, which ultimately leads to Brahmajnana. Therefore, it is for you to pay due respect, due attention to that. This is how the sixth shloka not only eulogizes, tells you the compulsion that truthfulness is required to achieve that goal. So now you know what the game plan is. You have to live, as Swamiji used to say, and Sri Ramakrishna used to tell Swami about Swamiji, that he walked on the earth like an open double-edged sword, absolutely sharp. It cuts away the dirt and dross. It's absolutely real truth. Satyameva jayate na anritam. Anritam is asatyam. Satyena jayate na satyameva jayate na anritam. Satyena pantha vitate devajana. Jena akramanti rishayo jnana tripta. After rishayo apta kama. The rishis, those who have now been totally desireless, they have walked this path of truthfulness, and it is for you to follow that path. Jat tat satyasya paramam nidhanam, the goal. With this, he stops by describing the ancillaries. The next shloka is the 7th. I'll just read it for you so that you are prepared for the next class. What does it say? It goes back again to describe the state of mind of that realized soul. He has described it twice, in the 3rd shloka, in the 4th shloka. 5th and 6th shloka has developed the ancillary sadhanas. That's all right. He goes back again. He is trying to tell you from various standpoints so that you do not become a victim of hallucination or a make-believe or a self-deception. This is what the game plan is. Brihatcha tad divyam achinta rupam Shukshmatcha tat shukshmataram vibhati Durat sudure tad ahintikacha tad iha antikecha Patshatshu ihaiva nihitam guhaya. Whatever it may be, you have to find it within yourself. The identification, the true identification of who am I. We'll get into it during our next study. Thank you, dears. Thank you ever so much. This is the 7th shloka that we'll read on the 1st chapter of the 3rd Mundaka during our next class. Thank you, friends. Thank you ever so much.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna